Hello, and welcome to this series of videos on the TI-30XS calculator. My name is Becky McGuffin, and I'm a math instructor with the Heartland Adult Education Consortium. The goal of this series of videos is to teach you how to get the maximum benefit out of your calculator on test day. When I tutor students, I always begin by asking them how comfortable they are with the calculator. And they almost always reply, "Oh yes, Miss Becky, I know how to use the calculator." But as I work with them, I find they really only knew how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I often hear, "I didn't know the calculator would do that," after I show them one of the calculator functions. In this series, we'll go over exponent buttons, scientific notation, fractions, percents, even the store and variable buttons that you'll be able to use for more challenging algebra problems like those you'll find on the GED. If possible, I suggest you have one of the calculators in your hand as we go through these videos. That will allow you to practice each of the keystrokes as we go through different examples. This journey may be long, but I promise it will be rewarding and you will learn something about your calculator before we finish. So let's begin. In the last video, we learned how to use the store and the variable buttons to evaluate expressions. That was helpful when they told us the value of an x. We could store that number and then type in the expression and we would get the answer. The next way we're going to use our store button is if we're trying to find x. Now, this is a special little trick that only works for multiple choice questions. However, a lot of the questions on the GED are multiple choice. So, let's look at what we're going to do with this. So, if we're trying to solve an equation, these are questions where they ask me to find x. And it is very good for you to know how to solve this equation. But if you don't, or if you get in the GED and you get stuck, we can use these multiple choice answers to find the answer or to even verify that our answer is correct. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our answer choices and store those for x. Now, even though I have an n here, that doesn't really matter. I can use any variable. So we're going to use x instead of n. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to store negative 11 for x. So we're going to do negative 11 store x, enter. And now we're going to type in the problem. 4 parentheses x minus 6, close my parentheses, and hit enter. Negative 68. The answer I'm looking for is 20. Since I didn't get 20, I know A is not the right answer. So now we'll go on to answer choice B. And we're going to store negative 5 for x. Negative 5 store x, enter. Now we're going to retype this equation. Here's another trick I like to show people. You don't have to retype it. Your calculator will allow you to copy and paste it. So if I scroll up to where that expression is highlighted, when I hit enter, it will copy and paste it to the bottom. Enter again will give me the answer of negative 44. Well, negative 44 is not the answer I'm looking for. I'm looking for 20. That's not the right answer either. So now we're going to go on to answer choice C. We'll store 5 for x. 5 store x, enter. I need the same expression again. We can scroll up till it's highlighted. Hit enter. It will copy and paste it to the bottom. Enter again gives me an answer of negative 4, not 20. C isn't right. So now let's try answer choice D. 11 store x, enter. We'll scroll up, get our expression, hit enter, it copies it, enter a second time, equals 20. There is my correct answer. So if you know how to solve equations, you can solve this equation and then you could use this trick to verify that you have the right answer. Or if you're just learning some of these algebra skills to solve equations, you can use this trick to find out the right answer. Let's look at a few more examples like this, where we have an equation and we have multiple choice answers. We're going to store those answers and put them in and see which one works. So let's do this question next. It's a longer expression we have here, but I have multiple choice answers. I'm trying to solve for x, and x has to be one of these four choices. So we're going to start with answer choice A, and we're going to store 5 for x. 5, store x, enter. Then I'm going to type in this equation, and if I get the answer of 1, A is right. I don't have to go any further. 3, parentheses, x minus 4, close my parentheses, minus 2, parentheses, x minus 8, close my parentheses. Hit enter. I got 9. I'm looking for 1. A is not the right answer. So we'll go on to answer choice B. We're going to store negative 3 for x. Negative 3, store x, enter. I've got to type this whole expression over again. It's kind of long. I don't want to have to take the time to do that. So we'll scroll up and hit it, grab it, go to the bottom, hit enter. Oh, there's my 1. That's the answer I'm looking for. B must be the correct answer. You could go on and check C and D if you want to, but once you have found the one that gives you the right answer, you don't need to go any further. Fractions. Everybody hates fractions and hates solving equations with fractions. Can we use our calculator and our store button? Yes, we can. So we are going to store answer choice A. 1 for x. I'm going to use x instead of n. 1, store x, enter. Then I'm going to type in my equation. I have a fraction, so we'll hit our fraction button. 4 on top, 5 on the bottom, x plus 2. When we hit enter, if I get 6, we're done. I did not get 6. I got 14/5. That's not right. So now let's go on to answer choice B. 5 for x. 5, store x. Now we're going to type in this equation again. I'm going to just scroll up and copy and paste it to the bottom. I hit enter. I get 6 for my answer. So B has to be the right answer. I don't have to try C and D. Once you have found the one that works, you can be done. Okay, let's look at one more like this. Now, something different about this one that you might not notice right off, it doesn't have equals a number. But I have the number over here. The number's there. It's just on the left side of the equation instead of the right side of the equation. That doesn't really make a difference. So we are going to store our answer choices, starting with A, 7, store x, enter. We're going to type in our equation, 18x minus 12x plus 6. When I hit enter, if I get 36, we're done. I didn't. I got 48, so A is not right. So now we'll go on to choice B. And we're going to store 1 for x. 1, store x, enter. I need this whole expression again. We'll scroll up, highlight it, hit enter. It copies it to the bottom. Hit enter again. I got 12. Nope, I need 36. That's not right. We'll go to answer choice C. We're going to store 3 for x. 3, store x, enter. I'm going to scroll up, hit enter to copy it and paste it to the bottom. Hit enter again, gives me the answer of 24. Nope, I need 26. Hopefully answer choice D is going to be right, but we're going to check it just to verify. 5, store x, enter. We'll scroll up and get our answer, get our expression. And there's our answer, 36. So that one is the right one. So like I said, if you know how to solve equations, you can solve the equation, and when you find the answer to be 5, you can check it with your store button to make sure, to be 100% certain that you get that question right on the GED. We're learning how to use our store button to solve equations. And in the first ones we have done, we always had an equation equals a number. And so we could store these answer choices to find which one gives me that number. But a lot of times equations aren't equal to a number. A lot of times there is an x on both sides. There's a variable on both sides of the equation. I don't have equals a number. So in this situation, we have to do something a little bit trickier. We can still use our store button, but it takes an extra step. And sometimes people think, well, that's just more trouble than it's worth. And it may be. And if you can solve equations, then good for you, go for it. But if you struggle with this, there is a way to use your store button to check and make sure that what you get is the correct answer. So just like we did in the previous examples, we're going to store our answer choices. So we're going to store 4 for x. We're going to store 4 for x. Calculator on, 4, store x, enter. And now what we're going to do is type in just the left side of the equation. 3x plus 6. 3x plus 6. And we get the answer 18. And now we're going to type in the right side of the equation. 7x minus 2. And we hit enter, and we get 26. Well, 18 isn't equal to 26. 3x plus 6 gave me 18. 7x minus 2 gave me 26. And 18 is not equal to 26, so A is not the right answer. And now we'll go on to answer choice B. We're going to store -2 for x. -2, store x, enter. We're going to put in this side of the equation, 3x plus 6, and I get 0. And now we're going to put in the other side, 7x minus 2, and I get -16. Those two answers are not equal to each other, so that is not the correct answer. Now we're going to go on to answer choice C. 2, store x. 2, store x, enter. We're going to type in the left side, 3x plus 6. I get 12. We're going to type in the right side, 7x minus 2, and we get 12. And as soon as I find the one that gives me the same answer on both sides, that is the right answer. If I put 2 in this side, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. And if I put 2 in this side, 7 times 2 is 14. 14 minus 2 is also 12. 12 is equal to 12, so C has to be the right answer. We're trying to find which one of these answers gives me the same number answer on the left as we get on the right. And as soon as we find that, we know we have the right answer. Okay, let's look at another example that's a little bit more complicated, but still the same idea, the same process. It's a longer equation, and this is one that you might have known how to do that first one because it was a little simpler equation, but this one is a little longer, a little trickier. We may even end up with fractions as answers. Well, we're going to end up with fractions as answers because the answer has to be one of those 4 choices. So we're going to start by storing answer choice A for x. 2/7 store x. Does it matter I have B up here? No, we're going to use x instead of B. So I'm going to store 2/7 for x. Since it's a fraction, I'm going to hit my fraction button first. 2 on top, 7 on the bottom. Scroll over and store x, enter. Now I want to type in the left side of the equation. Oh, there's another spot where I have to use an x. 12x minus 2 parentheses x minus 1. When I hit enter, I get 34/7. Now I want to type the other side, 6 minus 4x, and I get 34/7. Oh, we got lucky and we got the same answer on both sides on answer choice A. So I don't have to enter answer choice B, C, and D. When we put in 2/7 and we put it in this side of the equation, we got 34/7. And when we put it in this side, we also got 34/7. And since that's the same number on both sides, we can be confident answer A is correct. We could go on and check the other ones, but since the GED is a time test, I wouldn't recommend that unless you just have extra time at the end to go back and check. Let's look at another example. Okay, once again, I have an x on both sides. I don't have equals a number. So we're going to store our answer choices, type it in the left side, get an answer, type it in the right side, get an answer, and when I find the one answer choice that gives me the same thing on both sides of the equal sign, that's going to be the correct answer. So we're going to start with answer choice A, and we're going to store -64 for x. -64, store x, enter. Then we're going to type in what's on the right. 0.25 parentheses 3x minus 8. Close my parentheses. We hit enter. I got -50 on one side. Now we're going to put it on the other side. 2 parentheses 0.5x plus 4. Close my parentheses, hit enter. I got -56. I did not get the same answer on both sides of the equation. A is not correct. So now we'll go on to choice B. -40, store x. -40, -40, store x, enter. I want to type in this side. It's kind of long. I don't want to have to type it again. I'm going to scroll up and hit enter to copy and paste it. Hit enter again, gives me -32. Now I'm going to type it in the other side. Once again, I don't want to have to type that again. I'll just scroll up and highlight it. Hit enter, we'll copy and paste it to the bottom. Enter again, gives me -32. I have found the number -40 that gives me the same answer on this side that I get on this side. That is the correct answer. I don't have to check these last two because once you find the one answer that works, there are no more answers. Okay, let's do one more. One more with a fraction. Okay, so we have t on the left and we have t on the right. But I do have multiple choice answers. So we're going to start by storing answer choice A. I'm going to use x instead of t. Anywhere there's a t, I'm going to change it to an x. We're going to store 8, store x, enter. I'm going to type in the right side. Actually, I'm going to start with the left side. 4 parentheses 1/8 x, fraction, 1 on top, 8 on the bottom, x plus 2. Close my parentheses. Hit enter. I got 12. Now I'm going to type the other side, 2 parentheses x minus 8, close my parentheses, minus fraction 1/2 x. Hit enter, -4. Not the same answer on both sides, so 8 is not correct. Now we'll go on to answer choice B, 12 store X. This is certainly one of those situations where I don't want to have to retype it again. I got all these fractions, so I'm going to scroll up and highlight that expression. When I hit enter, it will copy and paste it to the bottom. Enter again gives me the answer of 12. Now we're going to go to the other side. I'm going to scroll up, have that side highlighted, hit enter, it will copy it to the bottom. Hit enter again, I get -4. Well, 12 is not equal to -4. So that can't be the right answer. We're going to go on to the next one. 16, store X. You know what? I don't think I stored 12 for X in there anywhere. That's the advantage of being able to scroll back and look. And the reason I noticed that is I got the same answers for both of these. So I was thinking, did I store 12? And I didn't. I was just redoing 8 again. So let's go back and kind of look at this again and store 12 for X. We'll go up and get this first expression. Hit enter. And it's not 12, it's 14. On the other side, we're going to go and get the 2, that one. Hit enter, and I got 2. Well, it's still not right. 14 isn't equal to 2. So I did forget to restore it. When I got those same answers, that kind of threw up a red flag that, I probably wouldn't get the same answer both times. So I looked back in my screen to see I never restored. So now let's move on to answer choice C. 16. I'm not going to forget this time. 16, store X, enter. We're going to scroll up to the left side, hit enter. Enter again, tells me I got 16. Now we're going to do the right side. That one, hit enter. Enter again, tells me 8. 16 is not equal to 8. C is not right either. I sure hope D works. 24 for X. 24, store X. I'm going to scroll up to there. Hit enter. Copy and paste it to the bottom. Enter again. I get 20. Now let's do it on the right side of the equation. This side. Hit enter. Copy and paste. And there's 20. So 20 equals 20. D is the correct answer. I realize it does take a few minutes to actually do that whole process, to store the number and do both sides. But if you are guaranteed getting the correct answer, it's one of those that it makes it worth the time. You can flag it and come back to it. You could go through the questions answering the ones you know how to do. And then questions like this that might take you a few more minutes to figure out using the calculator, you can flag them and come back to them. But as long as you get the same answer on both sides, you can be certain that you got the right answer on the GED test. The equations we've looked at so far have all been linear equations. Those are equations where x is to the first power and there's only one possible answer. There's only one solution, one answer that will give you the desired answer you're looking for in that equation. But with quadratic equations, those are equations where the x is squared. And because the x is squared, a lot of times there are two possible answers. There's not always two possible answers, but in a lot of cases there are. And there are different ways we can solve quadratic equations. We can sometimes use factoring, maybe completing the square. The quadratic formula is always an option. But because they're a little bit more complicated, some people get confused by them. They just decide, I'm not even going to try. But I'm going to show you some things that we've been doing with our store button that will work with quadratic equations as well. And you can at least attempt these questions and hopefully get a couple of them right. So let's look at one example here where I have a quadratic equation. It's quadratic because the x is squared. And the question just wants to know what is one solution to the quadratic formula. This is really no different than the other questions we were doing in the earlier part of this video. We're going to store our answer choices and test them in this equation to see which one gives me the answer of negative 20. So we're going to start with negative 5 and we'll store that for x. So on our calculator, negative 5, store x, enter. We'll type in our equation, 3x squared minus 19x. I hit enter. I got 170, not negative 20, so I know that's not right. So now we'll go on to answer choice B, 4 store x. Hit enter. I'm going to scroll up and grab my equation so that I don't have to retype it. Hit enter to copy and paste it. Enter again gives me the answer negative 28. I'm looking for negative 20. I know that's not right. So now we'll go on to answer choice C. 5 store x. Hit enter. We'll scroll up, get our equation, enter to copy it and paste it. Enter again gives me the answer negative 20, which is the answer I'm looking for. I know C is the correct answer. And so you can do that fairly quickly once you get comfortable with the calculator and actually be certain you've got the answer right, even if you don't know how to solve a quadratic formula. So that's one example. Another example, as I mentioned, a lot of times quadratic equations have two possible answers. And so sometimes you might see this where it says solve the quadratic equation, and I have answer choices in these little brackets. This is different than if you have parentheses with two numbers in it. Parentheses with two numbers in it indicate an x and a y, and it's a spot on the coordinate plane. If you have brackets, this is actually two answers that will both make this equation work and give me 0. So this is one of those where we're trying to find two solutions, two answers that both will give me 0. And so we do it the same way, we just have more numbers to store. So we're going to start with negative 6, the first answer on answer choice A, and we're going to store negative 6, store x, enter. We'll type in our equation, x squared minus 4x minus 12. We hit enter. I get 48. I have to get 0. So I know negative 6 doesn't work. I don't have to check the 2 right now because if negative 6 didn't work, answer choice A cannot be the option. And if negative 6 didn't work in answer choice A, it's not going to work over here in answer choice D either. So just by testing negative 6, we've eliminated 2 of our possibilities. So now we're going to go to answer choice B and we're going to try negative 2. Negative 2, store x, enter. We'll get our equation. I could type it again or I can just copy and paste it, hit enter, and I get 0. So that one works. But I also need to check 6 to make sure it works. 6, store x. Go back to get my equation. Hit enter. Enter again. Gives me 0. There we go. That's the right answer. Let's look at one more example. This one has fractions as answers. But fractions don't scare us off anymore. We're going to use our store button and store the fraction. So we're going to go to answer choice A and we're going to store 1/3. Hit your fraction button, 1 on top, 3 on the bottom. Now, notice my cursor's flashing down here on the bottom. If I were to hit store X and enter, I'm going to get an error. You have to move out from underneath the fraction to get out of the denominator before hitting store X when you're storing a fraction. So now I have 1/3 stored for X. We'll type in our equation, 4x squared minus 6x. Hit enter. We didn't get 0. So now we'll go on and we'll store b, 2/3. Hit our fraction, 2/3. Move out of the denominator. Store x, enter. Scroll up and get my equation. Hit enter to copy and paste it. Enter again. Gives me an answer of -29. Not 0. Not correct. Let's go on and try answer choice C. 3. 3, store x. Enter. We'll go up, get our equation. Hit enter to copy and paste it. Enter again gives me the answer of 18. Nope. Well, I sure hope D works. So we're going to hit our fraction. 3 on top, 2 on the bottom. Move out. Store x, enter. We'll go up and get our equation. Hit enter to copy and paste it. Enter again gives me the answer of 0. D is correct. So you might not know how to solve this equation, but if you know that you can store these answers and put it back in the equation, you can get the question right on the GED without knowing how to solve the quadratic equation. In these last examples, I'm going to show you how we can use the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is on the formula sheet. You don't have to have it memorized. But the quadratic formula looks really complicated, looks very tricky. If you've never used it before, it can be. But we're going to use our store button with the quadratic formula, even as complicated as it is. So you have to understand that with the quadratic formula, to use it, I have a, b, and c. And if I have a quadratic equation, the a, the b, and the c, all the terms have to be on the left and it has to be equal to 0. But when I have it in that format, the number in front of the x squared is the a, the number in front of the x is the b, and the constant over here by itself is c. So in this situation, a is 2, b is -10, and c is 3. So I'm going to store those answers, those numbers, those values for the variable. 2 store x, y, z, t, a. Now this is one of the only times I say go ahead and use a, b, and c instead of changing things to x, y, and z. Because if I change them to x, y, and z, so that I don't have to punch as many buttons on the calculator, I have to change it in the quadratic formula, and there's a possible source of error when I'm changing my variables. So I'm going to leave it a, b, and c. -10, store x, y, z, t, a, b, enter, and 3 for c. 3 store x, y, z, t, a, b, c, enter. So now I can see I have these values stored for a, b, and c. Now comes the challenging part of trying to type this formula in my calculator. And one of the things I'll point out is here in front of this square root is a plus or minus. That's how we get the two possible answers. If I do -b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, that gives me one answer. -b minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a, that gives me the other answer. So we're going to type it in twice. Actually, we're going to type it in once, and then we're going to edit the formula to change it to the other one. So let's go with this one first. So I'm going to hit my fraction line because that is what this is. Hit my fraction, and on top I'm going to type -b, negative x, y, z, t, a, b, plus my square root symbol, second, and my x squared puts my square root, b squared x, y, z, t, a, b, with my x squared minus 4 x, y, z, t, a. And then to get the c, one of the previous videos I showed you that if I have two variables sitting beside each other, to get the second variable I have to scoot over my cursor over before I can put that second variable in. A, Z, A, B, C. One more, C. And then go to the denominator and put 2 X, Y, Z, T, A. And I always tell students, take a look at this, make sure you've typed it correctly. And when I hit enter, the calculator does the math and gives me the square root of 19 plus 5 over 2. That would be one possible solution that would give me 0. Now we're going to go back and we're going to change this plus sign to a minus sign. I don't have to restore A, B, and C. They're still there. But I'm going to scroll up and grab this equation. I certainly don't want to have to retype this formula. We're going to copy it. It'll paste it to the bottom. And I'm just going to go back and change that minus in there, that plus to a minus. And hit enter. And now I have the other option. Negative square root of 19 plus 5 over 2. Now on the GED, they would probably list the answer as 5 plus or minus the square root of 19 over 2. And if it's like this, you just have to be able to recognize that these are the same as these. They have just changed the order of the top two terms in the numerator. So that's one way. You can actually store A, B, and C, type in the quadratic formula, and go at it with that strategy. The other way, which I like even better, is let's suppose that here's the same equation, almost. It's just got my 3 on this side instead of over here, but same equation, and here's my answer, and this is answer choice A. So what we're going to do, instead of typing in the A, the B, and the C and trying to do the quadratic formula, we're going to store answer choice A. So I'm going to hit my fraction, and I'm going to put 5 plus the square root of 19 over 2. Store X, enter. And then I'm going to type in this equation, 2x squared minus 10x. When I hit enter, I got -3. That tells me A is the correct answer. So it takes a little practice to get comfortable typing in these questions, but it can certainly be done using the store button to make your life a little easier. Here's another example, and many students, when they see this, they would say, nope, not even going to try. I'm going to guess C because somewhere in my schooling a teacher told me that C is the most common answer on a multiple choice test. But with our store button, we're actually going to be able to give this a try. So we're not just going to guess, we're going to attempt it. We're going to store answer choice A and put it back in the equation and see if we get 0. So I'm going to hit my fraction button, and I'm going to type 3 plus the second square root 11 over 2. It's another situation. If I do my store X right here with my cursor flashing in the denominator, I'm going to get an error. Move out, store X, enter. And now I want to type in this equation, x squared minus 3x plus 1. I hit enter. I did not get 0. I got 3/2. This is not the right answer. Now we'll go on to answer choice B. And I'm going to hit my fraction button, -3 plus second square root 13 over 2. Move out, store X, enter. I'm going to scroll up, get my equation, hit enter again, copies and paste it, enter again, gives me that answer. That's not 0. Not the right answer. Let's go on to answer choice C. 3 plus second square root of 5 over 2. Store X, enter. I'll go up and grab my equation, hit enter, and I get 0. That tells me that's probably the right answer. You can go back and try the 3 minus square root of 5 over 2 just to make sure. So fraction 3 minus the square root of 5 over 2. Store X, enter. Go get my equation. Equals 0. Now I know it's right. So even if you don't know how to solve quadratic equations, even if you don't know how to use the quadratic formula, hopefully this gives you a strategy that you can at least attempt using your store button and maybe get the question right. And now it's time to practice. I encourage you to get to know your calculator, get very comfortable with it, and learn as many tips and tricks as you can for your calculator to help you on test day.